Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Corner Talks podcast. Today I have a friend and talented filmmaker, Amir Miller. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Amir and I, we've been connecting through social media, like a lot of my guests, thanks to the technology. But in the time of the pandemic, a lot of us creatives, that's the best way to see what we're all up to, right? And follow each other's journey.
Yes.
Amir and I have been discussing before the podcast, just commending each other's work. And I think that's so amazing that we have this sense of community with us.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy what you can the people you can meet online, right? It's just like
Yeah,
I've met so many different filmmakers and living in Cleveland, there's some filmmakers around, but you might not know who they are, might not know where to find
of
them. But
course.
online I can find people from Toronto, find people
Yeah.
everywhere. It's crazy.
That's right. And back to touching on your point there, it's funny because I was talking to a friend and they're like, I was able to catch up with a lot of my friends because of the pandemic. And they asked that about me.
Right.
And I said, I was able to catch up with friends, but I also made crazy a ton of friends, if that makes sense, right? Like
Right.
in a
Yeah.
time when we're
Yeah.
supposed to be isolated and not talk to anyone, again, thanks to these podcasts, I should mention, and just social media, Instagram, right? It's helped us
Yeah.
to connect, right? And make us feel like we are social.
I know. It's crazy how social media can put some people together and then they just go from
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah, exactly, man. And I'm so happy we're taking advantage of it. Where are
Yeah.
you from, by the way? I'm from Toronto. And where are you located in?
I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, born and
Nice.
raised.
Born and
Yes.
raised. There you go. Yeah. So is it like a film town? Is there a lot going on?
So yes and no. So we have the
Right.
Cleveland Film Commission, right? And
Mhm.
they sort of like sponsor like films coming in. We just signed a tax incentive for around $40 million. So a
Nice.
lot of a lot of people from LA, that it's so expensive to shoot in LA.
Oh
So a
yeah.
lot of people from yeah, so a lot of people from LA they go to Atlanta or sometimes even New York. But people are now coming to Cleveland because we just signed a tax incentive. I was so happy they signed it. They were actually about to take it away, and then we weren't about to have any films. So
Right.
yeah, so I think Cleveland right now is on the rise as a film city. So I'm pretty happy about that. Pretty ecstatic.
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that. And the reason why I ask is because I feel like Toronto was like Cleveland at one time as well. We had productions, but it wasn't to the level that it is now, and it's really growing as an entertainment hub. So it's very important. Like a Netflix office was just built in the city recently. So everyone here, everyone
Wow.
in the community, yeah, like a headquarter office, a corporate
Oh,
office.
really?
Yeah, and they're
Wow.
already like posting jobs and things like that. So a lot of people whether they're on the creative side or the business side, they're already reaching out and saying, "Are you applying? Are you connecting? Are you seeing the news?" Right? And I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. The office looks beautiful, but that's the word on the street right now with Netflix."
What's the word on the street right now with Netflix?
No, no, I'm saying that's the word on the street with
Uh,
Netflix.
oh,
Like that's
oh,
what
yeah.
everyone. That's the buzz in the air, right, with Toronto. Because,
Oh,
like
yeah,
you
yeah.
said,
That's
Los Angeles is very expensive to film, so I think a lot of productions move out here. Yeah.
yeah, and it's crazy how like Toronto. I mean, I've heard that Toronto is sort of like a New York City kind of look to it. I've never been
Yeah.
there, but like a lot of films take place in Toronto that are supposed to be the setting of New York City. Is that
Yeah,
true?
yeah. Like Suits, I believe Suits is filmed. I don't watch the show as much as like some friends I know, but it's famously shot there. A lot of people like rave about it. Bay Street, I believe, Bay in College. They shoot Suits. Do you watch Suits by any chance?
Uh, no. What is Shoots? No, actually, never heard of that.
Suits, no Suits with it's like about lawyers. They're in like New York City.
Okay.
Meghan Markle was on there, and I forget, like Harvey Specter. Character's name is Harvey Specter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big show. I don't know if it's a big show in the States, but I know here it's like everyone raves about it, which is based in the States, so it's kind of funny. Yeah, it's kind of like Schitt's
Okay.
Creek. Have you ever heard of Schitt's Creek?
Nah, I heard of that either. I'm
No,
gonna
okay,
check
no.
this out.
The reason why I bring that one up is because it was big in Canada, right? We have a station called
Yeah.
CBC, right? So it's like an NBC, and then Netflix picked it up, which is what made it. That's why it won like the Emmys, and it's found the market in the States. So
Oh, really?
that's really cool. Yeah, yeah. I thought that was interesting because I remember as a Canadian for the longest time just seeing it on our local programming, right?
Yeah.
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 But yeah, so getting back to your career, the reason why I
Mhm.
wanted to connect with you is obviously I revere your work. I think you have a talent. And at the same time, I also feel like we have a very similar path, like a very common origin story. I
Yeah,
remember one
right.
of your posts. Yeah, I remember one of your posts, like in the captions, I read something to do with you basically quit your job and you pursued this passion, this dream of yours for filmmaking. And I wanted to know, like, what led you to that, make that brave decision?
Um, well, it's sort of just like taking a leap of faith, you know?
Right.
Um, I never really knew, what could happen. I don't
Yeah,
think anyone really does like when you do
yeah,
something so drastically like that.
of course.
But you kind of have to have a little bit of confidence in yourself, a little bit of confidence in your work, and everything like that, and just have a little bit of faith. It's one of my favorite words is having faith.
Yeah,
So I took a leap of faith, man. I knew what I was doing. I was capable of more. You know,
yeah.
like the job I was working at. Don't get me wrong, Amazon. I started at Amazon. Just
Oh,
being a
that's
factory
amazing.
worker. Yeah. So
Okay.
like, um, working at Amazon, nothing. Don't get me wrong, Amazon. It's a fine job to get you some money, to get you off your feet, to get the equipment you need or whatever.
Right.
But I just knew like I couldn't live a life where I didn't want to like do something that I'm not happy,
Yeah.
like if I'm not genuinely, doing a job that I love, that I'm happy, then I can't do it, for a very long time.
Right.
And I just knew that I'm putting so many hours in at this job that I
Yeah.
can, flip that and put so many hours into my own business and you know, kind of just take the steps that like other people have before me. I'm
Yeah.
sure that you probably like watched other people how they made their business, how they
Yeah.
started,
A lot of
and then
heroes.
just
Yeah.
kind of yeah, and kind of just work my way up from there.
Yeah. No, and I get the impression. So what you're saying is, with this job, it got to a point when you needed to focus all your efforts, like full force, into your business, or did you kind of do both at the same time and then real looked for a way out? How did you approach it?
How did I approach like quitting the job and
Yeah, like, did
like
you
not?
just like quit it, like cold turkey? Like, I'm just gonna focus all my time and give myself, so some people do
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah.
Like, if they have
No,
enough
no,
savings, or, and I say that because I'll get into it, but I've done that for myself,
no.
with
Yeah,
my
I'm
dream. Yeah,
laughing because like I'm laughing because that's really what happened. Like it's
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
funny actually.
great.
Like so I was just now starting to pick up work from the people. I think I only got paid maybe like twice and like from like shooting like content for somebody, and it was only like $150,
I'm
and
so
I was
happy you
like,
said that, by
wow.
the way. So, because I can relate so much, man. Like, a lot of people, like, I start to question, like, they'll be, because I do these projects and I say, no, but it's good for the portfolio. Like, I need to start somewhere. And then you start questioning and saying, wait, should I be getting paid for like half of these projects? I'm not sure, right?
Dude, I know
Yeah.
some of them for like $100 or hundred fifty
Yeah.
dollars, and like
Yeah.
it would be a really good video that I spend like hours and hours and maybe like 3 4 days on, right? And I got $150, and I was like, wow, like I just got money from this, like from something that like I just love to do. Like I started
Yeah.
off doing like YouTube videos, you know what I mean?
There
And
you
like
go.
I started learning how to edit, and then
Yeah.
I transitioned to like more of a filmmaking, like I said, just like a
Right.
vlog style, just actually filmmaking and like,
Storytelling. Yeah.
storytelling exactly.
Yeah.
So like um how I quit was just like in December one day, like it was during peak season. So like I don't know if you know about Amazon, but Amazon has
Right.
peak season where they make you come in an hour earlier, they make you work an extra day, and pretty much it's very hard work. Like you just like on your feet nonstop for like 10, 11 hours for like 5 days a week. It's very draining. And this one day I was just like, hey, like I'm not gonna do this anymore. Like I think I have enough money saved up, and I think I can. I think I have my camera's fine. Like I can shoot. I think I'm
There you go.
confident in myself to make more money. And sometimes when you put yourself in positions to, sometimes when you put yourself in difficult positions, you automatically find a way.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it is. It's like a survival technique within
For sure.
ourselves. Like we're just gonna find a way. You're gonna figure it out. So I just kind of walked in there and I worked like 3 hours, and I was like, you know what? I'm about to go home. I quit. I just walked out.
Packing it up. I love
It
it.
was like one of
Yeah.
the happiest days of my life, but the scariest at the same time.
Of course, yeah, and
Yeah,
I love that you share this story, because I feel like I'm telling the story, like just the words that are coming out of your mouth. I feel like I've lived this, and I have.
yeah,
Just to give you some context, I worked a sales job, was making pretty good commission. I'm not gonna lie, because I had a base out like wage, minimum wage, but the commission is what made me make more money than I ever thought I would make. and that's what I used towards the equipment. But at the same time, I was not happy. I was miserable every day going to work. And I remember just getting a
Exactly. Yeah.
decision. They wanted to move me locations, right? Like
Yeah.
that would be like farther out, like 40-minute drive, but I would lose that commission. And like I just
Mm,
finished saying, that commission is what kept me around because that's what helped me invest in my equipment. But if I'm losing that, what's the point? You know what I mean? I didn't love
yeah.
the job itself. But what I'm saying is I remember like, they made me kind of they pressured me to make a decision if I was going to go with this new location a day before my birthday. So I was
Mm,
having all these like, yeah, mixed feelings. And I remember just taking a moment. I stood outside for an hour and I said like to myself, like, what do you really want to do? Because in my heart, I wanted to do film and I never really scratched the itch. I just talked about it to people. And I did like here and there, like not jobs, just like attend networking events or like do classes, but I never made anything. And then like
yeah.
back to your point, man, I walked back in there and I, told my manager, I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm quitting the job and I quit. I'm pursuing something else for myself because sales isn't going to do it for me. Right.
It's probably
And
very liberating.
yeah, very liberating. But exactly to your point, I was terrified. Like deep down inside, I had no idea what I was going to do next. But there was this feeling of optimism, like fire. I got like an
Yeah.
adrenaline. Like I felt like I was a,
Right.
a a main character in a movie, like down on his luck, but something good was going to happen.
Yeah.
Not
Right.
knowing
Yeah.
how challenging it's going to be, but at the same time, I look to those days whenever I'm sad or whenever I forget, why I started this thing. Right? I always look
Yeah.
to that day, and I say to myself, there's a reason for it, and we don't know in life, like with anything, right? Like where it's going to head. Even if you work a safe job, you could get fired from it after working 40 years. My whole thing is, give it
Exactly.
a shot. Yeah, give it a shot if you have a talent for it. So it's highly
Yeah.
commendable that story, man, that you had the courage to do it because not a lot of people, I'm sure can do that for themselves.
It's yeah. It's not an easy thing, but when you know what you like, you know what you can do, and you find like an actual like passion. Because the first thing, I didn't even know I was a filmmaker. You know,
Right,
like you have to at least find. I think everyone is capable of some type of passion or achieving some type of like
right.
something for themselves.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's just if anyone's listening, to Amir's story, it's you got to really listen to that voice or listen to your heart because you didn't even know, like you said, you were a filmmaker. You just made YouTube videos or a music video, right, here and there. But
Yeah.
as you keep investing into this craft, you discover things about yourself. And that's something that
Exactly.
I take for myself, right? Just listening to your story, but also reminding myself when I pursue this path, it's like I start to learn certain things. And I'm sure I should mention as well as a filmmaker, you probably keep going because you notice progress, right? And you're
Yes.
getting that attention. Yeah,
Definitely. That's the biggest thing. Probably just like I'm noticing like a lot more like progress. The more work I put in, the better the self get. And sometimes it gets difficult. It does get like difficult. I say the biggest difficulty there is forcing yourself to be uncomfortable. Like forcing yourself to be like comfortable in those uncomfortable situations, whether that be
right.
like learning a new software, learning Adobe After Effects, like just forcing yourself to be um, comfortable in those uncomfortable situations.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I'm glad you said that about the editing programs because, for instance, I used to use Final Cut Pro all the time, and Adobe Premiere Pro is like the industry standard, like a lot of people use. But making that transition, it was very uncomfortable. It took me like a year to
Exactly.
figure it out. I still obviously am not perfect, but it's enough for me to create some videos to showcase on YouTube or send to you when I was talking about that short film I produced. So
Mm,
it's so important to, like you said, throw yourself in the ring and take those punches. You got to roll with them, right?
exactly.
But so I want to go back to when you quit your job. Uh, Big thing with creatives, my fascination. I'm always curious about how people around you handled it, like your friends and family. Did they give you any challenges, any doubts?
Man, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Who so
Um,
particularly?
I'd say obviously my family, like
Right.
I just like made like a lot of like expensive purchases for my equipment and I was
Of
like
course.
paying rent on them and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I was like a little bit behind in the whole, you know what I'm saying? Like and like not like in debt, but like, you have to, make payments and like that. And
Of
like,
course,
I
yeah,
have
pay the bills.
no,
Yeah.
no source of income and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's like, you're quitting your job. Like, you don't have any source of income. My family, my mom's like, you don't have any income right now. Like, what are you going to be doing? I was like, don't worry. Like, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to make money doing videos. I promise. I got it. I got it. I got it. Just trying to
Yeah.
convincing her. So it was, it's tough when like, you have a vision for yourself and not a lot of people can see it, you know, and like, I think that's like the biggest thing that you have to get over is like, you're the only one that's going to be able to see your
Yeah.
vision, your life.
Yeah.
You're the only one that can look in the future and be like, this is who I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to do. This is how this is how I'm going to be as a person. This is how I'm going to
Yeah.
be as a man. This is how I'm going to be as a filmmaker. This is who I am. Like, you're the only person who decides, you choose who you want to be.
Right.
So it was ultimately just like ignoring a lot of like what people were like, scared because
Of course.
people project their fears onto you
Yeah.
naturally.
Yeah.
So it's
And
it's
with
ultimately
with
just like
anything, I should mention, just not even
exactly
just film. Like if you even if you work a safe
anything,
job and you decide to stick in the HR department instead of going in accounting, you'll still have people that say you'll make more money in accounting. Why aren't you going there? You know what I mean? Like there's always going to be opinions from everyone.
everyone, but like you
Yeah.
have to just know what feels right within you,
Yeah.
and then people just have to respect that.
Was that always easy for you, by the way? Because that's something I struggle with a lot. Like I try not to listen to opinions, but because I have such a respect and love for my family,
I
especially.
do. I
Yeah.
I I say I'm very hard headed,
Oh, okay. Like
and
stubborn. I love it. Yeah.
yeah, I'm very very stubborn. It's good and it's bad, you know.
Mhm.
Um, I think there's good in both, and being able to listen to everyone. I think that's a very very good thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you listen to too many people, yeah, you can get caught up in their fears. If it's like if they're talking you out of fear, but and that's the same thing to go if you're like very stubborn as well. Like, sometimes they could be talking you out of a place coming from love, and like maybe you should listen. But
Yeah.
it just, two different swords. You feel me?
Of course. Yeah. And a big thing for me, Amir, is like, you're never gonna know unless you try, right? Like you're never gonna get out of your
Exactly.
system. Like let's say you listen to your mom and you'd be like,
Exactly.
yeah, you're right. And then you go back to work the next day. It's like it'll always bother you. It'll always eat away at you, right? Because you're
Exactly.
satisfying
Something.
her
Yeah.
concern, right? You're not satisfying your own.
Yeah. Something like that would have to just you'd have to choose you for a situation like that for
Yeah.
sure.
I saw an amazing quote that I posted actually yesterday, and I got some pretty good feedback, some friends. And it's really my mentality. And that is generational wealth starts with one risk taker. So anyone that you
Mm,
see that's famous or rich, or anyone that people look up to, including our family and our friends, there was a time when along the family tree, someone did something that was different and that was judged, but it worked out for them. And I'm not saying it always works out, but that's why they call it a risk taker. It's
yeah.
just going that far. Um, do you believe in that notion as well, man? Is like you have to be the risk taker in order to create that
I,
generational wealth?
I think about that all the time.
Yeah,
I've definitely heard that quote before, and I've definitely seen that where like, you definitely um have to be that person to take the risk. I study a lot of like successful people. I have like this weird habit of just like
yeah.
always just looking up people, always like
Their story,
reading their
like you're,
story.
yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
I
Yeah,
I always just look up people and how they started and like what they did and like read about successful people and like what they went through their mindset and stuff like that. Like I'm very interested in like self help and like books like that.
yeah,
Um, so when I read that, like, they're like they have to take that leap of faith. They have to take a risk in order to, start that generational wealth. It's scary, but like it's definitely a necessity.
yeah. And one thing I noticed about these stories, and I'm sure you picked it up, is there's no formula. Like not one person. It's
There
they
isn't.
went to school, then they did this, and they did that. They're everywhere.
I think it's
Sometimes.
just all about problem solving,
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And
figuring
learning
out
to
as you go.
overcome and learning to see failure as success. That's a big thing that,
Mm,
especially as creatives, you and I should both like, you know,
it's a common thing.
because we're
Yeah.
human, right? Naturally, when no one wants to fail, no one wants to get rejected, but look at that as, a learning lesson or a way to improve. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so important. Like I said, man, I talk about it a lot with a lot of artists, and as you grow, as you mature in your craft, I'm sure you have to just train yourself to overcome them, because
Exactly.
we get caught up in our mind, and we can't do that, because then we limit our creativity.
We do. You can't get too high, can't get too low.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Don't listen too much to the praise, right? Don't listen to the judgment, but also don't listen to the praise. Kind of keep neutral, keep focused, and then yeah, reap the rewards in the end. But
Exactly.
yeah, so I want to get back to your page, because that's how we connected. And a while back, I remember scrolling on Instagram, and I saw unfortunate news. I saw you post something that my heart dropped, because that's a big fear. I think a lot of people, filmmakers that are grinding it out, trying to make it, especially your situation, that you invested all this money in your equipment, to see that it was stolen. Um, what was that experience like, man, for you? Like, being someone that's you're trying to put all your energy, all your effort into this, and
Yeah.
see
I
something like
haven't
that.
even really shared like really my experience like this because it's very um like I'm still in the process of making a video actually like thanking everyone that has like actually like reached out and like helped me and like donated and everything because that was definitely like one of the worst feelings I've felt in like a very long time, you
Yeah.
know. Um it's like it's still like it's crazy like things were going very very well and things are going well right now but like at that time frame I'm putting my mind back to that time frame. Things were super well, things were going great. A lot of work, almost too much work actually. Like people don't really know that I was having a lot of anxiety because
Oh,
I
okay.
was working
Overwhelmed.
too much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
I think
believe it.
it
Yeah.
was, yeah, it was a lot of like work that I was like, I had to edit almost every day. I was
Because
shooting
yeah,
every other
what
day.
people don't realize is it's not a job where you show up and then you go home and you like collect your thoughts and you do something else. You have to go home and edit what you just did, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
like
pray
you're
that it goes
editing for,
together. By the way, I should mention.
yeah,
Yeah,
and yeah,
yeah, you got all the shots,
and,
right?
right.
Yeah,
That's yeah,
yeah.
yeah, people don't understand that. And
Hmm.
so I was just very like, stressed and overwhelmed and having like anxiety. And
Hmm.
then and it's not like I was like having anxiety because like I wasn't like making like money. It was anxiety because like, I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to deliver to clients in time, to to keep booking clients, to keep up my creativity,
Right.
to like, I'm like, damn, like how do all these people like, it sucks, but like you're looking at other people on Instagram and like I
Yeah.
don't know if they're like doing more work than you at the time, and like you're almost like, oh, they're putting out way more content than me. Like I have to up it up, step it up. You know what I mean? And it's like
Same. Yeah.
so I was getting caught up in that mindset at that time. And when I went downstairs to like look at my stuff and I seen like everything was gone, like I immediately just like heart drop. I was like in shock, just like lost for words. After that, it was I went to the police, went to called some friends, um, and I was pretty much just down for a bit. I was trying to like keep it together because I like keep like a very confident like okay it's gonna be all right, it's happened for a reason. I
Yeah.
try to like say everything happens for a reason, everything happens for a
Keep it
reason, but
positive, right? Not
keep it
happy, but
positive.
everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was definitely stressed about that. Definitely like um a lot going through my head. Like this is like a passion. This is like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to shoot. And then the negative thoughts start coming. And then, but I had a lot of great people around me, like wonderful people who helped me like get through it and everything like that. And then
Right.
eventually I saved up enough money that GoFundMe helped a lot. I ended up getting a nice a little insurance claim on it because at first
Okay.
they
Cool.
weren't trying to do insurance at all.
Yep.
So like, that was like kind of stressful, but we finally like worked it up to get an insurance claim on that, and
Nice.
finally after like a month later, I got my equipment back, and this time now that I have it back, it's just I treat it so much like I did treat it even nice, but now it's like even like very
Yeah.
very I'm very protective over it, and like also I learned to slow down a little bit where like I don't have to rush to create something, or I feel like
Yeah.
before I was like rushing and rushing and rushing. Now I want to like take my time, be calm, like that's my main focus right now, is to just get my mind right so I can like, when I start creating for like a lot of other people and everything like that, I don't have this anxiety that I had before my equipment got stolen.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that story because again, I can only imagine what you went through, and that's why I ask because um, people that aren't in the business, people that can't relate to your story of trying, you know, j- quitting your job and just putting all your effort and energy, your time, your money into this dream, won't really understand like your equipment being stolen. People might see it as, oh, your stuff's, your valuables are stolen, but it won't. They don't realize that that's your lifeline. Like that's what
Exactly.
requires you uh, to make these projects, to make these things happen. And yeah, man. I just like that's amazing that you overcame it, and the fact that
Thank
you
you.
got over that anxiety because that's what something I can relate as well. When we do these projects, like we put ourselves sometimes in situations like, yeah, it can be done in 2 days, when in reality it's going to take you a week or maybe more, right? Yeah, like, but we want to tell them that because we don't want to lose the job, we don't want to, maybe lose the money that's coming in,
Yeah,
and it's so important not to be like that, to be honest. That's a big thing. That's my business model, right? It's just being honest with the client, and sometimes they not don't understand, but if they do, even better, because you can create a great relationship with them for future
exactly.
projects.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you mentioned something about like you weren't really concerned about the money aspect, like with jobs coming in when you had anxiety, you were just concerned about the
Yeah,
creativity part.
yeah, it's a lot of like pressure, like I see so many like, how it is being when you're a filmmaker and everything you see on TV or commercials, you see it all the time, and like, damn, like how do they do that? Like how do they like get that shot? Like, or you're watching a commercial, like, like I need to learn like that After Effect transition, or I need to learn that blah blah blah. Like, and it's just like, so many things you see on TV, and every single commercial, I'm analyzing it like my brain. Every single thing I look at, I'm just analyzing like, how do I take that? How do I take that? Like, I don't even like watch stuff, and I wasn't even like watching stuff to enjoy it. I was just
Yeah,
watching
instead of
stuff to just like, to just
exactly.
to yeah, investigate
Yeah,
it and
to
like,
fi- to
figure out how to
investigate
do
it.
it for myself.
Yeah,
So
and
when I'm doing that though, it's like a lot of comparison, and like comparison's a thief of joy, you know?
100%, 100%. What one thing I wanted to, I don't know if you agree on this, but the best way I kind of, because I'm in the same boat, I'm guilty of this, where I compare, like I'll look on Instagram and it's not so much jealousy, it's more like a concern, like how am I going to get to that level, or how do I get that shot, right? Like yourself, right? How did
Yeah.
they, it's so overwhelming, like learning all this stuff. But for me, what I tell myself is you'll develop those skills when the project dictates it. Do you believe in that notion? Like when you get to that
Um,
certain projects?
yeah, I definitely do. Like, after a while, you will, you're gonna like figure out when you get that project, like, okay, how do I actually do this? How do I actually get that shot? You're gonna look it up, YouTube it, and like I've definitely like got to a project where like I had to like, learn specific things and like different techniques or whatever, just for that specific project. And then now I have it for myself. For like now actually learned it, and I can use it for another
Yeah.
project if I needed to. So I definitely agree with you like on that. Like you don't need to know everything, and that's the thing that I was like stressed about. I thought I needed to know everything. Like, but you don't need to know everything. You just need to like, figure out your style, figure out what you're good at, and just keep developing those things, and then slowly work in the other things as well.
And a big thing I want to say, Amir, is storytelling. Like for myself is
Exactly.
like how many videos have you seen, right? Where there's flashy editing and the stylistic shots, but there's no story. For me,
There's
I'm a
no
big
stuff.
fan. The biggest music video sometimes you'll see on Vivo or whatever, Director X, they're just cuts to different shots. The transition, like obviously there's a story being told, but you know what I mean? There's no like crazy after effects happening because that's all you need to like watching the visual narrative is all you need to
It's
know in understanding the story,
I totally agree with you.
right?
I see videos all the time where it's all just flashy, crazy effects. I'm like, oh, that's cool, but like, it's just no storytelling. But then
Yeah,
it's the ones I like where it's just like, you see the story going throughout, and it's just great color grading throughout, like
yeah,
just great. It's like the basic techniques, like good camera movement
yeah,
sometimes still shots, like just
yeah,
basic stuff. But it's like
yeah.
a story at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you have to always go after what pulls you, right? Your preference, what inspires you as a filmmaker. Like back to what you were saying, like myself, it's uh, I don't mind flashy stylistic, but at the same time, you wanted to have that narrative, right? You wanted to have
Yeah,
that
exactly.
story being told, like with the simple cuts. But nevertheless, I want to get into the fact that I saw you post recently that you're on the Netflix team.
Yes.
You got hired by Netflix. Congratulations! That's a huge,
Thank
huge
you.
gig. That's amazing, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I want to know, like, what was your role? What's your role at Netflix right now? What are you up to? What do you do?
Yeah. So right now I got hired as a locations assistant manager.
Nice.
So that means when the director needs a scene, he wants a shot, he needs a place to shoot it.
Right.
And the location manager, the guy in front of me, that my boss, he's the guy who goes out and figures out where the scene needs to be shot at. So if
Right.
it's like a 70s look to it, you'll find a school that has like a more of a 70s feel to it. You'll talk to the administrator. You'll figure out when's a good day to coordinate the schedule for that day with the school or whatever.
Right.
And then he might have to like shut down businesses that are next to the place that they're shooting at. So he'll talk to them and like pay them money, right? Um, to like if they're going to lose money throughout that first day of shooting, if they're like a retail store, you pay them amount of money that they're going to lose. So it's a lot of logistics, but also a creativity because you get to choose. Like you're going out and choosing what sites are it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, it's something I've been advised by a lot of colleagues, like people in the industry. I've noticed that they do that with locations. It's a great way to get into the industry and learn more about the ins and outs. Because I'm sure you're gaining a lot of knowledge that you're
So
taking with
much.
you, right? Yeah. As a
Yeah,
filmmaker, if you decide to make your feature film or whatever next project you pursue, right?
exactly. You literally
Yeah.
do. You learn so much about like even like the business side to it. Like um, how to get a permit to film in this location if you want to
Yeah.
do it professionally. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Like that can go a long way. If you want to like
Yeah.
actually film like a feature, little short film yourself, and you want to use a certain location that
Yeah.
you might think is off limits, but you could probably get it.
No, I have a big smile on my face because I remember like one of the first times like years ago when I tried to get a shot of my friend on Yonge Street, which is in Toronto, like a main street in the city, and it happened to go against we in the
Guidelines or
frame you
something.
could see, yeah, well you could see like the front of the building of an owner, right, of that build, like a security was kind of tapping us on the shoulder saying you can't have that in the shot. And we're like, what? Because we didn't understand. Well, we understood permits, but we never thought we'd get tapped on the shoulder. It's like, oh no, it's a student film. Like, we don't care. You can't do this. I'm like, okay. I'm like, is there a way? And they're like, yeah, you have to speak to head office upstairs. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, so my friend and I looked at each other and we're like, oh, we don't want to do that, or I think
Yeah,
he was a bit skeptical. And then I said, you know what? Why not? Like, screw it. Like, let's see, because I wanted to learn for myself how's the process. And yeah, we had to wait like 15 minutes. Guy comes out. He's like, "Oh, what are you guys up to?" I'm like, "We're doing a student project." He's like, "Sign here, here, here." I'm like, "Okay." And for that like 2-second footage, we were able to film in that particular spot just to get the shot, right? All for the
dude.
shot.
Yeah, all for the shot. That's
All
amazing
for the
though. That
shot,
you
man.
get that.
Yeah.
That's amazing that you got that.
Well, yeah, it's we push each other, but I'm saying is that that's obviously not just a small a glimpse of the scale, the power that Netflix has, right, in terms of location managing and things
Yeah.
like that. But definitely can relate to what you're saying. How did this come on your radar, by the way? This role? How did
Um,
you?
so my neighbor works in film and he's like a head landscaper and he recommended me to the location manager because they're looking for positions. And originally I had applied um, without like, any recommendations or anything like that. And I didn't get the job. So I was like, pretty bummed out, like, oh damn, like they never, hit me
Right, they probably
back.
didn't even look at it. Yeah,
Um, yeah, like damn, they never hit me back. Because I don't have experience on working on a set before. And I'm like the youngest guy out there working on the set.
yeah,
So it's like crazy like how I like it actually like ended up working. But he put in a great word for me.
nice.
And then I had to apply, send in a resume. Um, After they looked at the resume, they uh, it's actually funny. My girlfriend made the resume like a Netflix, like she made it look like Netflix with the colors like black and red and everything like that.
Okay, that's dope.
So
Yeah,
yeah, and it looks like really good. And he's like, oh man, like I love your resume design. Like, I mean, like I guess it like kind of stood out, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah. On purpose. Yeah, there you go. Netflix is all
yeah,
about
yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah. So like it
that's
was
cool.
like black and red with like film things on it. Like it
Yeah,
looked
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good. And they called me. I had the interview right there on Zoom. They called me back in a couple of days. Said, okay, we need you next week. And then as soon as I got like a COVID shot, not COVID shot, COVID test, because
The vaccine. Yeah.
they test
Oh, a
often,
test. Oh, a test. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, they test for COVID often.
Oh, shit.
And then I just started working there, and now like I'm like working on the set. I'm um I'm like all around like the actors sometimes. It's really cool. It's really dope.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. It's an amazing story, and it just goes to show like it's nice to have those contacts, right? It's nice to have those
Yeah,
connections, and people don't realize how much putting in a good word goes like a long way,
yeah,
and
it
it's
does.
helped you with that. Yeah, and that's so cool, man. I'm really proud of you that way. Like Netflix is a huge deal. Like I said, it's big
I
in Toronto.
appreciate
They
that.
moved their office. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited for you for what projects you're about to be working on. I know it's all confidential, but really exciting stuff, man.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely signed an NDA like literally like
Yeah,
2 days ago.
yeah. Yeah, we do that on our own little projects. I don't know if you start doing that, but I actually started that where it's like, yeah, sign here, here, here.
Damn,
Keep it
that's what's up.
professional. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I
yeah, no,
like that
because
idea.
it's a production company. I incorporate it. I make it legit as possible, right? But it's also you be
Yeah,
smart about it because if you take it serious, everybody take it serious, right? And
exactly.
it's a small project
Yeah,
today, but what if it's a big project tomorrow, right? So you have to just kind of
exactly.
implement those, like plant those seeds in people's heads, and yeah, just how you carry yourself, right?
I definitely do the same thing. I have contracts now as well, where I like yes in the
Nice.
contract,
Yeah.
and I started doing that because I definitely wanted to like up my professionalism.
No,
So yeah,
yeah, that's smart, man. And then another thing, I don't know if you do it already, but models, right? Models or talent, you should have them sign something where you can use their likeness, right? Or use their quality, their appearance, right? Promote them on social media. Did I cut
oh,
out?
that's a good idea. I'm
Yeah,
gonna take that from
yeah.
you.
Well, the reason why I mentioned that, man, to help you out is because we obviously live in a different world where people might come back and say, "Oh, you didn't ask me for permission," and you might be like, "What's going on? What's happening?" But you need some proof, right?
Yeah,
And it's so important to have
yeah,
when dealing with men or women, right? So, yeah,
yeah.
just a piece of advice, helping another filmmaker because someone recommended that to me, and I'm passing it along. Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah, no worries, man. So before we go, some final thoughts. I believe you're a mutual fan of Drake.
Drake.
Yeah. Are you a fan of him?
I'm definitely a fan of Drake.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I see you. I saw that really cool edit you did of his latest song. What's next?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. With the editing, and I was like, that's pretty cool. Like I liked it. It was like zooming in, zooming out. It was very stylistic, and I was pumped. And the reason why I say that is because when I listen to the music video, I'm always thinking, right, as filmmakers in my head, like, oh, what would my video look like? My interpretation of that. And
Yeah,
when you
right.
posted it, I'm like, let's go. This guy's on, like, on. You did it right away. So I love that.
Oh
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it was that was just random footage I just put together, honestly. I didn't even like plan that.
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
like
yeah. Some
yeah, and
for
but
content, for purposes of content, some
yeah, just
leftover footage,
content.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. There you
yeah.
go.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. It's actually it means a lot, man. Because I mean, yeah, just like everyone else, man, I get discouraged sometimes, and I don't think my work is sometimes good. I tell that to everybody when I talk to. I'm like, man, I don't even think it's all that sometimes, bro. To hear people like appreciate it, it means a lot. So I really appreciate that, for real.
Yeah. Well, it makes you feel better. When I watched it, I had basically your thoughts. It's like, how did he do it? Right? Like, maybe I got to up my game. So I'm just saying is that as much as you think you're the one comparing with everyone else, it's like there could be people also comparing with you, right? And saying,
And
hey,
yeah,
like that guy did some cool edits. How do you do that? Let me see if I can pull it off as well. So that's really cool, man. And yeah, keep the faith for sure.
thank
Um,
you.
and so what's happening next for you, man? Just working Netflix and doing these jobs? Anything else
Yeah, it's
exciting?
this Netflix job is gonna go. It has me booked down for like till September. It's like 12-hour days on set, Monday through Friday.
Nice.
And they're shooting. It's a long shoot in Ohio, so they're shooting all the way to like mid-September. Um, so right now I'm really just trying to just learn as much as I can,
Yeah, for sure.
stay low key a little bit. I'm gonna be shooting mostly more of my own stuff because another thing that like I like shooting for other people, but I love shooting my own stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So mostly right now,
Absolutely.
like I'm taking a few clients, not doing too like, as much as I was doing before, but here and there if I want for the portfolio and everything like
For
that.
sure.
And then also I'm just focusing a lot on like what I want to create, like what's my style, like what I want to do, like just the stuff for me that I don't make money for, just content purposes, but like, upping up, just having better quality
Yeah.
content that I can make for myself where I can like practice my storytelling skills, just so I'm just making a lot of more content for myself right now.
As filmmakers, our portfolio is our resume. I always say it, like
Yeah,
as much as we have a formal resume, right? It's written out what you did. People want to see your videos. People want to see your work. And I think that's so important. You
exactly.
invest that time in yourself, and create little videos. I don't know if you've seen them, but I made these years ago. But when I went to California, just before the pandemic, I came back and I had so much extra footage where I just got songs that I enjoyed or songs that I felt best fit the footage. And I did like San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego. Um, so back to your point, even if it's like a minute or 5 minutes or an hour, just put stuff out there, put little clips, little videos, so people see, right? Like what you're
Exactly.
up to, what you're making, and what best
Exactly.
the best thing that expresses you, right? That's an extension of you.
Exactly. Yeah,
That's great, man. Yeah,
exactly.
a lot of great stuff. That's amazing. And I wish you all the best with Netflix, and hopefully you can slide in a project over there and maybe pitch them something, right?
Yeah, for sure, man.
That'll be amazing. Yeah, but yeah, it's so important to have the faith, man, and take that leap. If there's anything I took from this conversation, so that's something that
So
anyone that's listening can.
yeah, I love what you're doing, by the way, man. It's just so cool to me. Like,
Oh,
you're out
thank
here
you.
doing your own thing, man. Podcast, it's amazing. Every single time I see it on Instagram, I always click it. It's
Oh,
like,
thank
oh
you.
man.
Yeah, that means wow,
Yeah,
that means a lot, man. Yeah. The
yeah,
podcast is
yeah,
a way to show another side of me, like who I am as a person, but also as a creative.
yeah.
And yeah,
I got a lot of good stuff from that too. Like a lot of cool people that you have on your show too. And it's
thank you.
just like,
Yeah.
so it's an honor to actually be on it after seeing it for so long. It's like,
Oh
damn,
yeah.
this is so cool.
Wow, I'm flat. I'm really flattered by that. I appreciate that, man, because
Yeah,
I respect your work just as much. And this isn't the last time I want you on. I want you to be on the podcast again. I feel like you can share your journey more and inspire people. And also, if you want to promote projects, right? Because there's a lot coming up, especially if you're doing a project that you're creating it yourself. I would love to
yeah,
talk about the process. And
yeah.
like I said, I have a short film that I'm working on currently. I'm putting together, and be happy to send that over, and we can discuss more. Set up another
And let's
podcast.
do
Yeah,
it, dude. Let's do it,
yeah,
man. The best thing, I think the biggest thing I'm learning from Netflix too is like I see how much of a collaborative process filmmaking really is.
yes,
And like
yes,
I'm always by myself and like I want to collaborate with people so badly. So like
yeah,
maybe in the
yeah.
future, like we can collaborate, we can do something now. Like,
100%, man. 100.
yeah.
I'll fly out there, and we'll be a location this
Oh, I'll
managers
fly up
together.
there.
Yeah, yeah, or fly up here. Yeah, man. Hey, no,
Right.
no, not joking. If you ever end up in Toronto or vice versa, right? Like we will message each other, and we could shoot a whole bunch of content. That's something actually a friend of mine from high school, because he's in similar field as me. Um, he's like more of a videographer, has a production company. We just say that, like, hey, let's just meet up and grab footage of each other and piece something together,
Yeah.
with music, right? Music tells the story. You don't need to be that fancy. You'll be surprised, right? That you can get a lot of attention just by putting stuff out there. That
Facts.
speaks honestly about who you are, right?
Yeah.
Still has to be quality, but you get my point, right? It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
like insanely intrinsic, like detailed. So
Just have the courage to put yourself out there.
courage to put yourself out there. Yeah, don't overthink it. Don't worry. Like, you need that certain After Effects to pull this off. It's like, if the story's there, if it's cohesive, people will. It doesn't have to be perfect, and move on to the
Yeah.
next project, kind of thing, right? So
Yeah. And yeah, that what you just said helped out a lot. So thank you.
yeah, yeah. I really do believe in that, man. And like I said, I really respect what you're doing. Looking forward to having you back on the podcast. Looking forward to
Yes.
eventually collaborating.
Yes,
And like I said,
sir.
man, amazing stuff with Netflix. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you again, Amir Miller, for coming on the podcast, and we'll talk soon.